Hi. Well, we're back in New York again, and I discovered that Flushing Meadows Airport, the site still exists. And I'll tell you what, it's just kind of important to me that I came flying up from Norfolk, Virginia with three guys off my ship. My license was still wet. The ink was still wet on my license when three guys climbed aboard. They each chipped in $25. It was a 3 hour, approximately 3 hours. With the wind, it might be a little less, and against the wind, a little more. In a Piper Tri-Pacer, and we flew up. And here's a brand new airplane made by Cub crafters called the X Cub. Now, I don't know exactly, I probably should study it, but Cubs aren't made by Piper anymore, and so they may have given a license to Cub crafters. Cub crafters, before they started building Cubs, they were refurbishing Cubs or rebuilding them, and just they were experts on Cubs. So I think they got licensed to build Cubs, and they've got Carbon Cub, this is X Cub, and then there's a Top Cub, and then they come with landing gear, bigger tires so they can land off of airports. It's got a bigger engine, got a little different landing gear, more streamlined. So instead of going like the Tri-Pacer, which had 135 horsepower with a nose wheel on the front back in 1956, it would cruise maybe, again, around 120, 2 miles a minute. Now we go by knots. This one supposedly goes 130 knots, so that's maybe 140 miles an hour. So it's a little faster, but it's similar enough that, I enjoy flying Cubs. So I come up from Virginia and I get to New York. Here's Manhattan Island right here. We went around it yesterday. There's the Harlem River. This is the East River and the Hudson River. So in this process, I talked about coming up the East River and seeing the UN building along in here and all the sites, but I had to stay under a cloud cover. So I was flying along at about 600 feet, and I had to be there because I looked straight out at the UN building. The UN building might be about 800 feet, so I was below the top of the UN building right along in here. I don't remember the island, Roosevelt Island here. I don't remember that, but probably because I was looking for Hell's Gate and to follow the East River on around. And right about here is the Whitestone Bridge. Pretty close to there. This distracts me a little bit, but I don't know what that is. I don't know what this is right here. But when I flew up here, I never saw LaGuardia, which is right under here. It's a big airport. And I've learned a little more about Flushing Meadows. I discovered Flushing Meadows is right here. I was thinking I was adjacent to the Whitestone Bridge. So I was thinking it was right in here. The airport was closed in 1984. There was a Twin Comanche, which I flew Twin Comanches. I got my multi-engine rating in a Twin Comanche. Twin Comanche took off from here. I don't know which direction he was going, but you can see the prevailing wind it would be taking off in that direction. Anyway, I always landed heading to the southeast, and I took off to the southeast, and there you'll see some apartments here that I went through. New York Times, this is where they print their newspapers, right in this building here. That wasn't there back then. And the Goodyear blimp used to be here and stay here, and it was a little airport. It was New York's biggest airport before LaGuardia was built, back in the, probably LaGuardia was built back in the 40s. It might even go back to the late 30s, but I forget that right now. But it got replaced as the main field, and then it got shut down in '84 due to the accident. and it's owned by the New York system, so there's quite a few political interests in this area. So from '84, I assumed they developed it, made a shopping center or a distribution center or something out of it, but or put condos in there. But they've not been able to agree to anything. So the field is still there, and I can land a Cub there. I was fooling around with the Cub that has the nose wheel, but the field is rough, and you really don't want to be landing on a rough field with a nose wheel, because nose wheels are not known to be really strong. And if you hit first on the nose wheel, or you're taxiing and the nose wheel goes in a hole or hits a curb, it just snaps the nose wheel off. So with the main gear, any of those things the main gear can withstand without snapping it off. And so anyway, we're going to take off from here and fly over here, and then we're going to take the flight from here out to New Jersey, out to out here is Morristown. So we're going to go to KMMU Morristown, and that's where my folks picked me up. They were living, and I was living before I went to the Navy, here in Summit. So this was maybe 10-mile drive for them to come out and pick me up. And then at the end of the weekend, I picked them up at Newark Airport, because full of fuel and full of passengers. That 135 horsepower Tri-Pacer was definitely underpowered, and would not have, could have been a problem trying to take off with a full load of fuel from there. So I fueled up here, landed at Newark Airport back then, and I think I was over in here somewhere where I met the guys, and then we taxied out. We took off on, they probably only had one runway back then, but I believe we took off on runway 4, because it was along the New Jersey Turnpike, comes right along here, and that was one of the first turnpikes in New Jersey. And then we flew south out of there back to Norfolk, Virginia. So anyway, that's the story. Sorry about the long-windedness. So here we go. And no, I wasn't flying and that's a Ryan aircraft, and that's the first aircraft to fly across the Atlantic Ocean with a single pilot, and that was Lindbergh. That was the Spirit of St. Louis, and he flew out of. So here's the Statue of Liberty, and that was New Jersey.
527 Bravo, Charlie ready at runway 4, departing straight out.
I was looking back toward Manhattan.
27 Bravo, Charlie altimeter 29.9, 2 wind, calm, straight out departure.
And Manhattan was off to the right. Those are buildings in New Jersey that you saw. And he took off from Floyd Bennett Field, which was over in Brooklyn. That no longer exists also. So now we have to we'll bring the sunshine back to noon. And we're in the Cub, so we're right about noon, LaGuardia time. And so here we go. We're gonna see how this little baby reacts. And let's see, take the brake off, and they cleared us to take off. So here we go. This is called the X Cub. It has either 180 or 200 horsepower. More horsepower than the Tri-Pacer by quite a bit. Okay, let's put the flaps up. We aren't going very far, and we would not fly like this past the tower. They would frown on that. They may not say anything because this is a simulator. But sometimes if you land or take off without their permission, they squawk about that. I think I can see the New York Times building already right there. So the little field is going to be here. What we'll do is we'll just go to 1,000 feet. And I know that the Parkway, yeah, I'm sure that's the Flushing Meadows right there. And that's about what it looks like today. So we'll turn left at the freeway and then fly over. And we're still within the 5-mile radius of LaGuardia, so they're not saying goodbye to us. Okay, 700 feet. We're coming with a little flap. And we'll use just outside the freeway here as a base leg. And yeah, that white building there, that belongs to the New York Times. And this little field here, and we'll pull in full flap. Okay, there's our full flap. And we're going, got it pretty slow at 60. We're above stall speed, but 60, we could do maybe 50, but I think we got plenty of room. And we got to get back here so we can land. We come in just to the left of these trees. Okay.
United 1923 at runway 22 ready for departure IFR to Denver.
Yeah, we just missed the
United 1923
mounds.
altimeter 29.9
Actually, I think we can go. I think we can go around the mounds. Yeah, we better not. We better just go ahead and turn it around. I think we can make it. I think we can make it.
Cleared for takeoff runway 22 United 1923.
So we'll see the whole field. Oop. Well, we won't quite see the whole field. But right there, you can see where there were. You can see this gets marshy, and there is water there. And I believe they got permission to dump stuff here. Oh, good. The airplane being that it's a little marshy, and they built things. So this is the direction we took off, and there are three sites that you'll see. We'll put flap in, and we'll go over. There's one site. There's one site behind that, and then there's another site here. There's a couple of hangars and a shop. So there's three sites right there. And we'll put the flap up, and these buildings are what scared me. When I took off, I could see these apartment buildings, and I was a little nervous about running into those apartments. We'll look down at the New York Times building, right there. That's the publishing. Then we'll go over here to the Whitestone Bridge, and then we'll head through New Jersey. And we'll get, these guys will say goodbye to us as soon as we get about 5 miles away. They'll tell us to go to another channel. I don't have any way to get free from them. Again, Whitestone Bridge has not been handcrafted any more than putting the towers in to show you that it's high-rise. You can't see the cables. It's built similar suspension bridge is what it would be called. And then you can look back here toward LaGuardia, and then you see New York off in the distance there.
Cleared for takeoff runway 22 JetBlue 39er.
So as soon as we get 5 miles away,
Frontier flight 1668
tell us to change. Sorry about all that talk.
Wind calm, clear to land runway 22.
And we'll go
Clear
back
to land
here.
runway 22, number 2, Frontier Flight 1668 Heavy.
And we'll head for the Hudson River. This could be downtown Newark. Could be right over there. Yeah, I think that's Newark right there. We can see the World Trade Center would be right about there, and the Empire State Building would be right about there. So we're not doing the New York tour. This could be the Bronx, what they call the Bronx in here. And Queens is back over this side. Brooklyn is back in there. And then there's LaGuardia. And my aunt and uncle lived up in here, Pelham and New Rochelle. And frankly, I don't know what I'm looking at right now, but two uncles lived in New Rochelle and Pelham. So we'll look for the George Washington Bridge. That could be right about there. She should be saying goodbye to us pretty quick here. Okay, let's go inside and see about going to the nearest let's see here. Nearest.
Tower Brickyard 5778 ready for departure runway 22 IFR to Columbus. Cub Crafter 7 Bravo Charlie leaving light airspace frequency change approved. Brickyard 5778 altimeter 29.9er 2 wind calm.
Correct.
Cleared for takeoff runway 22.
Activate. And we gotta say goodbye.
Tower Cub Crafters 527 Bravo Charlie frequency change.
And let's go to back.
Cleared for takeoff runway 22 Brickyard 5778.
Go with the nav and turn on the autopilot. And we'll go to
Tower Brickyard 5821 at runway 22 ready for departure IFR to Boston.
2,000 feet.
Brickyard 5821,
Oh, there's
hold
the
short
George
runway
Washington
22.
Bridge.
Traffic is generic on the runway.
There's George Washington Bridge. Let's go outside and look at it.
Hold short runway 22 Brickyard
And
5821.
what we have to do with we're tracking, so we need to do our altitude. And that's at 2,300 feet, and we've got to climb to vertical speed to 1,000 feet a minute, and we'll climb on up. So we're on our autopilot. We'll look around at the Hudson River while we're flying across. Again, they didn't put the suspension in yet, so that hasn't been handcrafted. Now we're in New Jersey, and Sully probably put the old Airbus in right about there.
Contact New York departure on 120.4. Good day.
And we're leveled off, so we go 24. And we're tracking toward Morristown. I didn't have that in my tri-pacer.
120.4 for Brickyard 5778.
We could go here, and we go to Morristown, let them know we're coming. Farther away. And Morristown. There we go. And towers on 118.1, and we can look on here and see our distance No, altitude, here we go. So KMMU, we're 18 nautical miles away. We'll be there in 13 minutes. We're a little far out to be calling them, but we're proceeding along this line. And my little airplane had a super homer in it, so you had to fly from VOR to VOR, a very high frequency omni range. You didn't have screens. They called the little round instruments, they call them steam gauges today. Here we're flying by something over here to the right.
Generic zero Mike Echo contact ground on
over here to
134
the right.
decimal 2.
So this, I believe this is Teterboro, right there. That was one of the choices Sully had. He didn't think he could make it to Teterboro.
134 decimal 2, generic zero Mike
I
Echo.
need to go to Morristown. And,
Morristown Airport information, Alpha 1600.
They might say we can hear what the runway is.
Morristown Airport information, Bravo 1600 Zulu. Wind calm.
And we look back here.
Visibility,
We
9er.
might be able to see
Sky condition, clear.
we're right near
Temperature,
Teterboro.
15.
We
Dew point,
might see the
13.
stadium for
Altimeter 29er, decimal 92. ILS
for the
runway
New York
23
Giants.
in use. Landing and departing
Might
runway
be right
23.
there.
DFR aircraft, say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions.
That's Teterboro.
Advise controller on initial contact you have Bravo.
I didn't listen to what the
Morristown
runway
Airport
is. We'll
information,
listen
Bravo
again.
1600 Zulu. Wind calm. Visibility, 9er. Sky condition, clear. Temperature, 15. Dew point, 13. Altimeter, 29er, decimal 92. ILS runway, 23 in use. Landing and departing runway, 23. DFR aircraft, say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions.
So,
Advise controller on initial contact you have Bravo.
so we are approaching
Morristown
at
Airport
a
information,
45,
Bravo 1600
10, 20,
Zulu.
30.
Wind calm. Visibility, 9er.
So
Sky condition,
we're
clear.
approaching.
Temperature,
The runway
15.
will run out
Dew
that
point,
way.
13.
Good.
Altimeter,
So they might
29er,
clear us
decimal
for
92.
quasi
ILS runway
straight in.
23 in use. Landing and
We'll
departing
call it.
runway 23.
Call them on that. And we
Tower
are,
jet,
they
speed
will say,
450 is going missed.
we are now out 13
jet,
miles.
Speed 450 contact
so we
New
call
York,
'em.
approach on 127.6.
So
Good day.
request full stop landing.
Tower Cub Crafters 527 Bravo Charlie is 14 miles east, 2,300 feet with Bravo to land.
Cub Crafters 527 Bravo Charlie Tower. Altimeter 29er, decimal 92, wind calm fly, left base runway 23.
There's an airliner. I don't know where they're going. Maybe
Going
into
to 127
LaGuardia.
decimal, 6 jet, speed 450.
Okay, we got that. Land
Enter
23.
left base runway 23 Cub
Left
Crafters
base.
7 Bravo Charlie.
That's good. Look back at New York one more time. There's the city. And Newark. Let's see. Yeah, this is Newark right here. The Newark Airport is right over there. So when I picked up my guys off the ship, I just got my little airplane and I had actually a shorter flight to Newark than I would have picking them up at the Flushing Meadows Airport. Bye-bye, New York. Bye-bye, New York City and World Trade Center. So we'll drop down to 1,500 feet. So let's get the altitude. We'll bring that down to 1,500.
Cub Crafter 7
1500.
Bravo Charlie, wind calm, clear to land runway 23.
Okay. That's good.
Cleared to land runway 2 Tree Cub Crafters 7 Bravo Charlie.
So we need to do the vertical speed. We need to take that down. Go down to 1,000 feet. Come back on the power a little bit. I haven't seen the runway yet, but we'll keep looking for it. We're tracking directly at it. We're right on the, here we can move this. And we can see here, we're 8 miles away. We've been cleared to land. We're going to drop down to 1,500 feet. Yeah, all I had in the little tri-pacer was this thing called a super homer. So you would, you couldn't transmit and talk on the same frequency. At about 7 or 10 frequencies, maybe 5 frequencies, I don't know how many, that you could transmit on, and you kind of had a little coffee grinder tuner. You could tune to the station. Sometimes you had to ask them to give a short count or a long count, and so you tune until you hear somebody counting, and then you know you have the right station. This stuff here, this panel, this airplane is a $400,000 airplane. Of course, it's got twice the horsepower. I only had 65 horsepower in the little J3 Cub, and but the tri-pacer had 135 horsepower, the 4-seater. The one I learned to fly in had a low frequency receiver. You couldn't even transmit. But that Cub was probably under 5,000. It was probably war surplus, and out of World War II. I think for a while there, more people learned to fly in a J3 Cub than any other aircraft. So anyway, 65 horsepower. That thing cruised at about 65 miles an hour, 60 or 65. But this one, what's our ground speed? We should, here it says true airspeed is 107 knots, so that's a little over 120 miles an hour. So we're not flying in the yellow here. So we're flying about the speed the tri-pacer flew. And we can look around here, New Jersey. This part of New Jersey is quite pretty. It's hilly. And I can see the airport right now. And this is probably runway 23 right there. The course takes you right to the center of the field. So we'll go ahead and go along with it. And we'll then turn a little bit right to land on runway 23, which you can see runway heading 24 would be right there. 23 is one less. So you can see that we're going to make a left turn. We're going to land in that direction. And we're going to just turn off the autopilot now. And you can go back in and you can see right here, here's the autopilot. And we turn that off. And you see it, the AP start blinking. We can move this up and you can see there's the airport. There's runway 23. We can get in a little closer. So then we're going to go back outside and up a little bit and push that. So 1,000 feet's pretty good. Come back on the power a little bit, start slowing down. And in a minute we'll start clicking in a little bit of flap. Yeah, I noticed in my logbook from back then that I took 40 minutes flying over. Today I think it was more like 30 minutes, but the length of this YouTube is going to be close to 40 minutes because I talk too much. And this is Morristown, and looking over towards Summit. Summit's going to be over in there where my folks were living. When my dad retired, he was working out here in Morse Plains. I forget exactly where that is, but possibly in one of these buildings for large corporation, and he retired and moved to Carmel, California. I've been here pretty much ever since. Then we're going to put in more flap, and we'll get in behind so we can see what we're doing. We could go in here, but we'll stay right outside because I like to see
4501 tree miles, north
what we're
inbound
doing.
ILS runway 2 tree approach. Jet speed
Full flap.
450 tower. Altimeter 29.902, wind calm,
And we're
cleared
going a little
ILS runway
fast.
2 tree approach.
Just keep pulling back, back, back. Touchdown, a full stall. Let's skip just a little bit. There we go.
Cleared ILS runway
Flaps
2
up.
tree approach, jet speed 450.
Flaps are up.
Cubcrafter 7, Bravo Charlie, turn next taxiway.
Okay. My brakes are real sensitive. My pedals, real sensitive.
Cubcrafter 7, Bravo Charlie, contact ground on 134.2.
Okay. And we aren't going to fool around here too long. We're just going to tell them we're taxiing
Going to
to
1 tree
parking.
for decimal 2 Cubcrafters 7 Bravo Charlie. Morristown ground Cubcrafters 527 Bravo Charlie taxi to parking.
Cubcrafters 527 Bravo Charlie taxi to general aviation parking using taxiway Delta cross runway tree 1 Alpha Charlie.
So we I guess we can go right over here and oh, I see where it is. And this airplane goes
Cubcrafter
on
7
grass.
Bravo Charlie, acknowledge last transmission.
Here we go. I think they wanted us on this taxiway.
Taxiing to general aviation parking via taxiway Delta cross runway tree 1 Alpha Charlie Cubcrafters 7 Bravo Charlie.
So we would park somewhere over in here. So that's what I did back in 1956. God, almost 50 years ago. And it's like I'm right there, doing this all over again. We parked near the tower. We didn't come down in here, but they've expanded on this airport since I flew in and out of here. All right, there you go, Morristown Airport. At your service. Oh, what's down in there? Just hangars. More hangars. Blink. Thanks for riding along. See you soon. Adios.